Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
Well, how about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 301 of How About That Cigar Live.
301. Actually, it could be considered 302.
Well, it's more like 318 or somewhere in there, but
Well, because we just did cigars.
we don't give episode numbers to certain
We should give
shows.
episode.
I know we'd be like in the 318s, 320s, somewhere in that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
we would.
So guys, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on
Rumbo.
And if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, thanks so much for making How About That Cigar a part of your regular audio podcast rotation. If you would please take just a minute and click on all of the big, beautiful buttons. The like button, the follow button, the subscribe button, so you don't miss anything we have going on with How About That Cigar. So you will be the first to know. And we are so excited to be back
In the studio.
After Cigars and Baseball last week. Fantastic. Another incredible Cigars and Baseball
Close to 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. The only little hiccup was Mother Nature didn't want to agree with us.
Yeah. It started pouring. We were fortunately protected from the rain for most of it, and then all of a sudden the wind shifted direction and our gear started getting wet. And if you have cameras and soundboards and stuff, you can't have that. So we had to pack up a little early, but we really hope you guys enjoyed that event. And we'll keep talking over the next few weeks, getting you guys reminders and updates about which date to save. I believe it's September 17th.
Yep. Next
Thursday, September 17th of 2026 will be Cigars and Baseball. And so grateful to know that CHS Field in St. Paul will be the home of Cigars and Baseball basically forever. So very grateful for that. So speaking of baseball, your Yankees are definitely going to get a playoff spot.
Yep, they're going to get a playoff. They'll be in the wild card.
My Twins, not even close.
No.
Twins are not even close to getting a playoff spot. There's 6 games left. The Twins are like 19 games back or something like that. So not even. I don't think the Twins even have 70 wins.
Not sure.
Yeah, I think the Twins have like 67 wins.
Yankees have 88. But so last Monday I went to the game. And the Twins actually beat the Yankees, like 8-0.
The one game out of the 3-game series that the Twins won, and you happened to be at the one where it was 7-0 Twins.
And what I've noticed about my Yankees is they have no urgency. Their fielding is terrible, and their base running is atrocious.
Yeah,
that is not a playoff team. I mean, I'm happy they made the playoffs. I'm going to take some cigars from our friend Hector again this year. But they look like shit, to be honest with you. They were not very impressive.
You never know.
I think I talked to you.
Yeah.
I think they need to fire Boone. And I think they need to hire Rocco.
Well, I don't know if Rocco's still going to have a job. I hope they don't blame this season on Rocco. It's definitely on the poll ads. Ownership is this is all on the owners.
No, I hope they fire him so we can get him.
It's possible.
I think it's a damn good coach. From what he has,
he's done well. He really has.
Yep. Unfortunately, as far as football goes,
my
Jets lost another heartbreaker.
Yeah.
And so did your Packers.
Green Bay threw away a 10-0 lead in the last 4 minutes of the game
to the Browns.
Jordan Love threw the most egregious interception I think I've ever seen from a quarterback. I mean, there were no Green Bay Packers receivers within 5 yards of where he threw that ball. He threw it into a cluster of Browns defenders. I can't even. I was over at Matt's house watching the game, and now I feel guilty. Matt, I love you, brother. I don't know if I'm coming over to your place to watch a game again, because both times I've been over there to watch, the Packers have lost. And I don't want to put that on, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious.
Well, you can make payments, because every time I go over there, the Packers win. So,
well, I'll pay you to go over there and watch the games.
And the Vikings,
oh my gosh,
defense absolutely destroyed the Bengals.
They tore the Bengals apart. I mean, it ended up being the Bengals ended up having 10 or 13 points,
something like
but
that.
They were garbage time points. It was basically 50 something to 3 until the last couple minutes of the game, or what, I don't remember what it was, but it was.
So our friend Red
had
the Vikings defense. I think they got him 35 points.
Holy cow. Yeah, if you had the Browns defense, or honestly, if you had it would be the Browns. If you had the Browns defense or the Vikings defense on fantasy football yesterday, you're probably.
How about the Eagles returning a punt for a touchdown? There was another team that returned a punt block or extra field goal block. There was like 3 or 4 blocks.
Wasn't it the Vikings?
No.
Oh, I thought it was the Vikings. I know they had a pick 6, but I don't know.
But all right, enough sports. Let's talk about.
Let's jump into this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by our friends at Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry. So here we go. The glass, as you can see, this is a healthy pour this week. So taking a little sniff. It's a bourbon. It definitely smells like a bourbon. Doesn't smell like scotch. Smells a little on the high proof side, but not crazy. Let's give it a little taste.
Let's give it a little tasty taste.
That is, I'm going to say it's got good flavor. It's got a little bit of that, medicinal kind of funk, but it's super mild. It's not medicinal like cough syrup. It's just, it's high alcohol. It's high proof. Feel like this one is somewhere this one might be somewhere between like 118 and 122 ish is my guess.
It's a good guess.
But I like it so far. So I'll keep.
You've had it before.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep drinking this throughout the show, and later on we will reveal what this week's Spirit of Mystery is. And I think it's absolutely time to bring on our special guest.
Oh, I thought we were gonna. Never mind.
No, it's that's later.
He's not here.
Yeah.
So if you noticed,
Justin,
our boy
Justin's got the night off.
He's got the night off. He's got some stuff going on.
So Justin,
we miss you, buddy.
We miss you, brother. So let's get our special guest on the show.
Yep.
And as always on How About That Cigar Live, special guests are brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And Drew Estate unveiled the latest chapter in the Nica Rustica Shade. Shade is the third Nica Rustica expression, joining the original broadleaf and the Adobe. Nica Rustica Shade spotlights an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Mexican binder leaf, and balanced blend of Nicaraguan, American, and Dominican fillers. Available in a 4.5 by 50 short Robusto, 6 by 50 Toro, and a 5 by 66 Gordo.
Well, that sounds like fun.
The Nica Rustica Shade is available now. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please put your hands together and help us welcome to episode 301 of How About That Cigar Live from Lure Cigars, Lou Cross. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Grateful to have you with us, brother. Your first time on How About That Cigar Live. There we go.
Oh, yeah, I'm working on the keyboard tonight. A little late, but I got it. Oh, I can turn that up. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
See, you figured it out. You figured it out. See, Lou is working through our. This is
patient.
Justin is always hitting the buttons for us. So,
yeah.
Lou,
right.
very happy to have you on the show, brother.
Likewise, glad to be here, man.
If you would please let our viewers and listeners know where you're broadcasting from and what you're smoking and drinking along with us this evening.
Sure. I am from broadcasting from Tallahassee, Florida, and I am in my back porch where I tend to smoke a lot of my cigars and other people's cigars as well. A lot of cigars. I'm smoking tonight. I'm smoking the Brownie Trout, which is our next core release that we have coming out in a couple weeks. The final packaging is being done, and I'm drinking a Drifting Drams cup of coffee, and I'm trying to think. It was the name of the coffee is it's after the dog one. Anyway, I'm drinking coffee tonight, black coffee with my cigar.
Very nice.
Kind of like that cup. There's a little advertising going on there.
There you go. Smoke Lure Cigars.
I am drinking a water, and I am smoking the Brownie Trout too.
All right.
And I'm going to get that fired up as well. So I think, one of the things that we love the most, Lou, about having somebody on the show for the first time is we love hearing people's origin stories, especially how that first cigar experience, went for them. So talk our audience through your first cigar experience. If you happen to remember what the cigar was, that kind of thing. So how did that go for you?
Well, I was 18 years old, and I had grown up in a household where my dad fished and smoked cigarettes and smoked cigars occasionally when we would go out fishing and things. And so I got an invite to go down to the Florida Keys with a buddy of mine. His grandparents had a little beach cottage there, and it had had some damage after one of the hurricanes had come through. And he said, "Hey, man, it's spring break. You got nothing else going on. Come down and let us do some renovations and hang out at the beach house in the Keys." And so I said, "I'm game." So went down there, and on the way down, we stopped at a cigar shop. Never been in a cigar shop in my life before. And Joe's dad smoked cigars, and he said, "I want to pick up some cigars for the trip." So we went into the shop, and it was a small shop in a strip mall. This is 1993, and we'll go inside, and there's nice chairs and everything else, but the humidor is a walk-in humidor, and there was a beautiful woman in a black dress.
Okay.
Perfect tanned Latin skin. Her accent was so thick, and she gave us the grand tour of all things tobacco. I didn't know what she was saying. I didn't know what words were there, but she explained and knew everything about anything. At least she came off as very knowledgeable, and talked about the cigars. And there were Fuentes and Partagas and a couple other brands that I recognize now, but I had no idea what they were. But most of the cigars were unbanded cigars that were just on the shelf. And so I bought a bunch of unbanded cigars just because she was selling them. And I took them, and I was going to bring them back to my dad and bring them back to another coworker that smoked cigars. And so I didn't have any intention on smoking them whatsoever. But we make it down to the Keys a couple hours later, and we spend 3 days working on the house. And it's a beautiful 70-degree evening. We had worked all day in the heat, and we were sitting out drinking some beverages on the canal, and the neighbor comes over. And this guy had bleach blonde hair, never wore shoes in his adult life, cut off jean shorts. It didn't know how to use the buttons on his shirt, and comes over, and he says, "Hey boys, what are you doing?" And we're like, "Hey, we're sitting out here just enjoying the evening." And he was smoking kind of like a White Owl or a Phillies Blunt, some drugstore cigar.
Yeah.
And sipping on a beer. And I said, "Hey man, you like cigars?" He's like, "I love cigars." I said, "Hold on a second." I ran up to the house, I grabbed the bag of cigars that I bought at the cigar shop, and I bring them out. And he was so excited, and you would have thought I gave him $1 million. And he sat there and he smoked one. And as he was smoking that cigar, I started to smell the aroma of it. And I was like, "That's a really good aroma. I like the way that smells. I'm going to smoke one." So I grabbed one of the cigars out of the bag and Joe grabbed one of the cigars in the bag, and Joe's brother grabbed one of the cigars in the bag. And we sat there and we smoked cigars, and we ended up smoking 4 or 5 cigars that night until the next day, sunrise. And I knew that was something I was going to do again. So the first cigar I smoked was an unbanded, who knows what it was.
Yeah.
I remember the experience. When I got home from that trip, I had to go to the Yellow Pages because there was no internet back then. And I had to thumb through the Yellow Pages to find cigar shops. And I found that there was a tobacconist in Tallahassee. And I went into the shop and I went in there and they had recently opened. And I basically said, I want a box of cigars. This is something I'm going to do. And so I bought a box of Fuente Numero Unos.
Perfect.
Which was their natural Lonsdale. And the whole box of 25 was $42 out the door.
Oh.
So
don't you miss the 90s?
Yep. So if that tells you kind of how long it's been that I've been smoking cigars, and you could probably buy maybe 2-3 cigars at the quality that they were back then, so
nice.
Anyway, yeah, that's the origin story. And then ever since then I brought that box home, and when I brought the box home, my brother and I were sitting out on the boat dock. My parents lived my mom still lives there, but my dad had built a little boat dock for us to pull our John boat up and down and not have to get wet. So we were sitting out there smoking. My dad comes out and he goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I said, "We're smoking cigars." He goes, "Give me one of those." And it was that moment that my dad sat with us, and we sat out there for several hours and just talked, and it was a conversation starter, and it was a conversation fuel that kept going, and it lasted 30 years until my dad passed away in 2023. So that's something that we shared, and that's kind of the first cigar, first box of cigars, and then that connection that we made at that point in my life. I didn't have a lot that my dad and I would sit there and talk about. Not that he was unapproachable, but there was the cigar was always a catalyst for conversation.
I love that.
That's awesome.
And was your whole life spent kind of in that Tallahassee area?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Born and raised.
Well, I was born in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin. So I got little northern roots up there, Milwaukee area. So, but 2 months after I was born, my parents moved to Tallahassee. And so I've only known living here. I visited the Midwest a lot. I got a Midwest family up there and everything else still. But no, I was Tallahassee. I went to school at FSU, stayed here with the jobs and everything. And so this has been home.
Nice.
What'd you do before you decided to start your cigar?
So I had a couple career paths. The most recent career that I had before doing the cigars full time was I was in the development business for senior housing. So for assisted living and memory care development. I did that for 12 years. And before that, I had 17 years as a cartographer and map maker that I worked in right out of school. I got my degree in geography and ended up going and working for a research lab that did maps and graphic design and publications and support for education and federal and state agencies and things that we did. So that's how I got to be here. And cigars have always been a hobby and been an enthusiast for over 30 years. And now I'm taking it on the road full time, doing it as a job.
What was your decision and how did you go about doing that? What'd you say? The hell with it. I'm going to start making cigars.
Well, so that goes back to the story of my dad passing in 2023. So because my dad and I shared two things together that were common interests that we could always do was one was fishing and the other was smoking cigars. And so tackle and tobacco come together in terms of the brand. But why did I even think about doing a cigar in the first place? Well, my dad's 90th birthday was approaching in 2023, and his birthday was June 1st. And he was really wanting to have all the family and friends together. He had gotten to the point where, life was getting harder for him and him getting around, and he had a couple of falls and it breaking his leg and just a decline. And so he wanted to have a big celebration for his 90th. So we had a 90th birthday party for him. And I went to my buddy Nimar Ahmad at Valakari, who has been my mentor and kind of partner in getting things going for my business. But at the time, he's also located in Tallahassee. I went to him and I said, "Can you roll me a cigar for my dad's 90th?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. What do you want?" I said, "Well, I don't know, something mild," because dad's palate, he's smoking more kind of flavored and mild stuff. He used to smoke the perotis and these twisted Harry Potter wand like cigars. And then he smoked a lot of, dark, strong cigars. And then he just got to the point where his palate had gotten to the point where he said, I just need to have a mild smoke. So I said, can you roll something in a Connecticut and maybe a short story size, something like that, a little Figurado, because he doesn't smoke that long. So yeah, sure. So we ordered the cigars, and by the time they got here, you know, they didn't make it for the birthday party. So like anything else, you know, the boat didn't make it or whatever, it's fine. So we smoked a lot of other things and had a great time. Friends and family came around. Well, the cigars showed up and my dad's health declined about the same time. And so he basically said, I'm tired and I'm done. I got to see everybody. I got no regrets. It was a wonderful life, full life. And so the same day that, you know, the cigars showed up, my dad's like, I'm done. He went to sleep, didn't wake up the next morning, and it, you know, went peacefully in his sleep, and it was a real blessing. But I ended up with these cigars, and so the cigars that I ended up with, I went at his funeral and I gave them as part of the eulogy. I gave them out, and I said, "Look, if you've ever smoked a cigar with my dad, or if you ever smoked like cigars, or you smoke one with your kid, or your friends, or your dad, whatever, take a cigar and have a memory." Take a cigar and tell a story. And so a lot of people, you know, the 250 cigars that were in the back of the church, I thought I'd have, you know, 10 people take cigars. They were gone.
Yeah.
And over the next couple of weeks, people would come back and they text me and they messaged me and they called me and they pulled me aside at the grocery store and they flagged me down in the parking lot. Hey, man, I smoked this cigar. I had a real good time. Man, I haven't talked to my son like that in a long time. Or, you know, me and my brother went golfing and we had a thing. Or I just smoked a cigar and I had never smoked a cigar before and I really liked it and everything else. So I had all these stories coming to me. And it was almost like my dad was sitting there kind of giving me a pat on the back and saying, you know, look, you know, I'm still with you and this is a great way to remember. So I said, this is something I'd like to do. And I went back to Nimmer and I said, look, that's not my profile. It's not a cigar that I would sit there and basically choose. It was a good smoke, but it was, you know, very mild. And I said, can you roll something for me that I can have and have as a tribute to my dad? And I'll just give it out of poker games and, you know, cigar visits and everything else. And you go to the lounge and try one of these. And so he said, yeah. And so we worked over the next couple of weeks after that conversation and trying to find a cigar. And I wanted to have a Habano because I like the J21 from Tatuaje and I like, you know, the foundation stuff. I like my father's stuff. And so I wanted to get a good, solid Nicaraguan Habano. And we just couldn't make it happen. There just wasn't, the samples that were coming up from the factory were just not hitting my palate the way I wanted them to. So I was really frustrated. He said, hold on a second. And he goes back in the warehouse. And he comes back and he brings me a cigar that's dark reddish brown and he brings it out and he hands it to me and he goes, I go, what is this? He goes, just smoke it. So I light it up. You know, man, there's these dried fruit notes. There's this baking spices, this cinnamon, this leather, this just amazing flavor. And it's just a beautiful cigar. And I'm looking at it and I said, what is this? He goes, just smoke it. I get through the first third, the second third. I get to the final third. And I said, what is this cigar? He said, that's a Corojo Oscuro. A dark Corojo we've been working on for Valacari that has no home in the portfolio because he had two other cigars that we're working on. And that cigar was supposed to be released for him 2025, 2026. And I remind you, this is 2023. So it was way out there. And I said, he goes, do you like this cigar? I said, I love this cigar. This cigar is phenomenal. And he said, well, I'm glad you like it. I said, can I have something like this? He goes, do you like that blend? I said, I really like this blend. He goes, you can have that. It's a gift for you.
Nice.
He gave it to me as a gift for my dad. And so that cigar that launched the brand, you know, you don't go to a factory and order 200 cigars, you order 5,000 cigars. And so I ended up getting 5,000 cigars and I did it in 3 different vitolas. I did it in a Big Lou, which is named after my dad, 6x52. I had the Little Tony named after my son, who's actually 6'5", but he was Little Tony when he was little. And then I had the BLT at the time, which was the Big Lou Torpedo. My dad always judged a restaurant by their BLT. We went to a diner or went to, you know, wherever, he always ordered a BLT and said, that's how, you know, determine whether that's a good place. So those 3 cigars we launched, and I thought I'd have enough cigars to last me the lifetime. And when we launched Lure Black Friday of 2023, right after Thanksgiving, we sold all of those cigars before December 15th of that year. And it was just word of mouth. And, you know, I had a couple of retail partners that helped me out. Luxury Cigar Club had picked it up. Oxford Cigar Company had picked it up. And we also had my local shops in Tallahassee had picked it up. And so it was just a blessing that people were smoking the cigars and liking them, and they would come back and smoke more. And then we decided to make it official. So Lure Cigars became official with the, LLC and all the, trademark and all that jazz on January 1st of 2024. And so we've been doing that, and that's where it's been going. And we've added several core lines along the way, and it's been a blast getting to where we are now.
So this guy right here, let me actually bring up the big layout. This guy here, that was right out of the gate, the first one, correct?
Yes, the Corojo, the blue and the red label. Yes, that's correct. That is that's the brand, that's the blend that started it off. The blend, rather.
And then we've got the Habano.
Yep. So the Habano, my daughters were asking me, when are we going to get a cigar named after us? I didn't even know they were paying attention. So I have two daughters and a son. And so when I kind of chuckled, I was like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, we want a cigar named after us. So the Habano came out in February of 24. We did the Tally Alley named after my daughter, Allison. She's 6'3". And so she got the Toro. And then my daughter, Nicole, got the Holy Coley. And it was, the Robusto size, 550.
Nice. And then the Oscuro, which, come on, focus. There we go.
That's the orange.
Yeah. And I'm curious about this. And it's going to be hard. I'll try to get it up to the camera there. But you can see there's a year number on the band. Is that the year that the cigar was released, or is that the year the cigar was rolled?
The year the cigar was released.
Okay.
So the release date, we've got production going. I'm kind of having to figure out exactly when, I'd love to have the date on there that was the actual packaging date, and we're working on that for some of the things, but it's the year that the blend was released. And so you'll see 2023 on a number of the Corojo, you'll see 2025 on some of those Vitolas, and you'll see 2025 on the Oscuro and obviously the Brownie Trout.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Oscuro came third, and that was the cigar that I wanted, the blend that I wanted if I was going to make a cigar that I was going to enjoy with a cup of coffee. And my dad always said, pour me a cup of Joe, have a cup of Joe, get a cup of Joe. So it's the cigar that is the bolder flavored cigar. It is more full bodied. That cigar is the cigar that I will smoke it the first of the day, and I'll smoke it as the last one of the day. It's a day opener, day ender for me as well. But I do love the pairing with coffee or a high proof spirit. The Oscuro just really kind of holds its own with that. And so that is a double fermented, double aged Maduro.
Okay.
So we call it the Oscuro.
And then we've got this
redfish,
this box press redfish here.
Yep.
Tell us about that blend.
So the redfish just got released a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And the redfish was a collaboration with Valakari. So I mentioned Valakari was kind of they're made at the same factory as my cigars, and my relationship with the factory is because of Valakari's relationship. So everything I kind of owe a lot to Nimmer and Valakari for giving me the guidance and the support and everything. And so as a tribute to him, when we were, I've been doing this full time since May of this year. And so I wanted to kind of thank him for all the support and all the help, and to start giving him some recognition officially for all the help and support. And he's, we're just doing more things together. I mean, we're kind of aligning our businesses to be able to, get economies of scale and to make decisions at the factory level. So I said, I would love to do a tribute cigar. And I said, I would like to take the wrapper from the Big Lou, which is the Corojo Oscuro. And I said, I want to take that Corojo and I want to put it over your Lumineer binder and filler. So the Lumineer was his cigar that he launched at PCA this year. It's the fourth cigar in his portfolio, or it's the fifth, I guess it is, sequencing. It's the fourth in terms of development, but the fifth to be released. The Lumineer is a Habano 2000, just a wonderful cigar. And so I said, can I take the guts of that and put my wrapper on it and see what happens? And so when we went to the factory and they did that and they came up with it, that's the redfish. So redfish because of the Corojo wrapper, and it's not a lure name, but it's more along the lines of what the kind of, if you look at it, it has kind of some similar branding notes to what Valakari has in terms of the band is concerned. So the redfish was born. And so that is a collaboration And it's been very well received, in terms of people out there. I hope you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
And is that readily available for everybody?
So we had 10 retailers pick that up, and we went to the retailers first that had both Lure and Valakari accounts to kind of give them an appreciation for supporting both brands. And we sold out, and so there are 2,500 of those cigars out there. There's a list. If you go to our Instagram at Lure Cigars, and there's a post that has the 10 retailers listed that carry them, and I'm sure that there's still some available, but it is limited production, and who knows, we may bring that back in a future release. But it's, we want to test the waters and see how it goes. And so far, all the feedback we've gotten thus far has been positive. So that's good.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Want to do the last one?
Yeah. So then we have, let me get the big shot here.
Is that the last cast?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. So when I came up on the 1-year anniversary of my dad passing, 2024 in June, I wanted to do something as a tribute to him. And while I had the Big Lou named after him, it was a great cigar, and I still smoke the Big Lou on the regular, and there's a lot of people that like that cigar. I wanted to do something special as an anniversary cigar that we would do every year as an annual release. And one of the tobaccos that I love to work with and I love to smoke from other places too is Connecticut broadleaf. So my allocation for Connecticut broadleaf is very limited. I can only do about 8,000 to 10,000 cigars a year. So I have to be very careful. I can't put that into core production and expect it to be sustainable, as my retail list grows. So I don't want to make a cigar that I make as core and then can't be available. That's just the worst thing going. So as an enthusiast, I said, look, why don't I make this a limited production, limited release annually, and we'll do it in June. And the term last cast is the phrase that a fisherman used to say, hey, it's the last one of the day, last one of the morning, whenever you're out. You toss it out, you make a little bit more effort to kind of put it where you want to put it. You think it's going to be the right cast. You reel it in a little bit slower. You put a little more action on it. You see what you can do to get things going. And the last cast is the cigar that I wish I could have smoked with my dad as a last one with him. So it's kind of a tribute, and that will always come out in June. Last year it was a 6x52 Toro, and this year Brejo, the blender, was like, no, Armando, we're going to make this a 6x54. And I'm like, 6x54? And I'm like, it's 652. I'd already had the labels made and everything. He's like, no, you try 654. And so this year's is just a hint. It's just got a little bit more of an edge to it, and it turned out really, really great. So I hope you'll enjoy that cigar.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things I kind of I sort of teased to you before we went live, and I got to bring this up to you on the air with people watching and listening, because there was a stretch of time on this show where I'd say for a solid few months, every time, because we're always talking to people from the cigar industry on here, and brand owners and things like that, or shop owners. And after the live show is over, we hang out in the virtual green room and talk a little bit more. And we're always asking people, who should we have on the show that we haven't had on the show before? And there was a stretch of months where every single person we had on our show afterwards, we're asking them that question. They're like, you got to get a hold of Lou Cross from Lure Cigars.
Yep.
Really?
I mean, other brand owners.
Oh, that's fun.
Shop owners. Nate Beck from Bovida mentioned your name as well. And yeah, we had retailers and other brand owners. So that I just wanted to share that with you, and also let our listeners hear it, because I'd say that speaks volumes about who you are, and what does that mean to you to have to when it comes to relationships in this business, and being a guy of integrity and that kind of thing. What is how important is that to you?
That is utmost importance to me. I mean, you made my day. I can tell you that as hard as it is to be out there slinging cigars and trying to tell your story, to be able to have that kind of feedback really is meaningful. And I truly believe that the industry, and I haven't been in a lot of different industries, but I will tell you that while there is competition out there, it's more about community. And most of what I have found is that when you tell a genuine story, and my story is my life. I mean, this is the time that I shared with my dad, and I've been a cigar enthusiast first. I smoke cigars. I've smoked for over 3 decades. I like cigars. I like a lot of other people's cigars. I always like to try what's new, and I like to share that. And I get excited when other people try something that I like, whether it's my brand or something else, or whether it's a drink or whether it's a food or whatever. I mean, I just love enjoying time with people. And I think that that is evidenced by having people recognize that, friendly, approachable nature of who I am as a person and the brand. And so I am very, very humbled by that feedback. And whoever, mentioned it and whatever it is, I really appreciate you, because it's all about smoke great cigars and tell tall tales. It's not smoke lure cigars and tell, stories about smoking lure cigars. It's encouraging us to all get together and have that. And so, I was on the phone with Vance Taylor from Stoic earlier today, and we're sharing the challenges of being a new brand. We both launched about the same time, and he's out there and he's in a dozen shops I'm not in. I'm in a dozen shops he's not in. All the challenges, and you can pick up the phone and call people, and they're accessible and they're friendly. And I think that that's one of the things that about this that is encouraging, that you want to see other people succeed, and a rising tide does rise all ships. In the that the more people that smoke cigars, the more chance they're going to smoke a lure, or they're going to smoke somebody else's that's out there doing the same thing. And so it's all about that. So it's very meaningful. What a nice thing to hear. It's a surprise, and really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So speaking about Stoic,
Oh yeah,
they got an event here on Saturday.
Yes, you mentioned he's going up there. Yes.
Ramsey.
Oh really?
Yep.
You might have to have him on the show on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, don't miss that. Vance is a good guy. I've known Vance for over 10 years, and I had never met him personally before until I went to PCA this year. And so we've been a member of Cigar Syndicate on the Facebook groups way before all this other stuff had gone on. We've been trading cigars back and forth, and had shared cigars and stories for a long, long time. And it's really neat to see somebody else out there that's doing the same thing, and taking it, and trying to take a dream and turn it into something. So don't miss his story. He's got a great story as well.
Actually, cool viewer question just popped up. What should be the first lure cigar that I smoke?
Well, it depends on what you like to smoke. I will tell you the progression from strength and flavor to where if I was going to start and say, this is where I would start and finish with the stronger, bolder cigar, I would say the Habano Tally Alley does not have any Amatepe tobacco in it. So it's basically my lightest expression, even though it's a medium-bodied cigar. And the flavors, that's where I would start with the Tally Alley. I would go to Holy Coly, and then I would go maybe the Mean Gene in the Habano line. The Mean Gene is the box press version of that cigar that is more Amatepe, and they took out some of the filler tobaccos. And then if I would go next, I would go to the Corojo. And then the Corojo, any of the sizes in that. But my favorite size is the Fat Tony, which is a 5x54 Robusto Extra Gordo, Robusto Gordo, I guess you call it. And then I would go to probably the Brownie Trout, which is the Maduro that's coming out in a couple weeks. That is right below the Oscuro, which is then the Big Joe or Little Joe. And then I would go Last Cast.
Oh, yeah.
So Last Cast would be your win.
I like finishing with that broadleaf. Strong finish.
What about that other one over there, that skinny one?
Oh,
okay. So I sent you guys a couple of the next catch and release. So one of the things that we kind of came up with over the last year was a way to kind of do micro drops to lure fans out there. I love to try something that's pre-release. I love to try something that is hasn't happened yet. And so we came up with a concept called catch and release. Just like in fishing, catch and release is a concept where the cigar is a size that's not part of the core. The tobacco is limited. We don't have it, so just like a fish that's outside of the slot limit, it's either too long or too short, or it's out of season, you got to throw it back. This is a cigar that we don't really have a place in our portfolio for, but we want to try to share and get an experiment with it. And so what we do is we put them in 5-packs. straight MSRP around $10, and you go out there and you get the feedback. People buy these cigars. The first one we did was called the Speckled Perch. It became what was the final blend in the last cast, and we had to modify it because the feedback we got was that it wasn't strong enough. There wasn't enough, oomph. People loved that cigar, but they really loved the last cast, and so that first drop was Speckled Perch. The second drop was the Brownie Trout. So we did the Brownie Trout in the fall of last year. We had a couple of samples coming up, and it was a really rich cocoa notes. I don't know if you guys are smoking that tonight, so maybe you could talk about what kind of flavor notes you have. But what we found was the cigar was like fresh baked brownies. It reminded me when I lit it up, the aroma and the taste was just like fresh baked brownies. And so I called it the Brownie Trout, kind of a play on the brownie being a delectable dessert, and then the trout being a brown trout, being a fish that fits in the kind of the theme. So that cigar was the catch and release. They sold out. They're gone. There's a few packs left in the wild out there at some shops that have them tucked away. Well, it was so well received, we decided to make it as part of our core line. So it's our fourth core line coming out in a couple of weeks. We have it in two sizes. We have it in the Brownie Trout, which is the Toro 654. And then we also have a little spicier version. I call it like the cinnamon red hot add, just a little bit oomph. That is the Little Trout. And the Little Trout is a 5x52 box press Robusto. And the box press Robusto, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if I sent that to you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 5x54, or the 5x52 rather, that cigar's got a little bit more oomph to it. So if you're, like the Brownie Trout and you want to have something that hits you a little bit, a little bit more heat, there's like cinnamon, chocolate, and, a little bit more spice to it. Chili flake, kind of like those chocolates, dark chocolate with chili powder in it.
Yeah, I kind of from this one, the Toro Brownie Trout that I'm smoking. First of all, I love box press cigars. Second of all, yeah, it's like, for me, it's kind of like Mexican chocolate, where it's chocolate, but also it's kind of earthy chocolate, if that makes any sense, and
Yes.
A little bit of spice, but also I get this kind of interesting, like bright kind of thing. It's not like, it's hard to even describe. It's not like citrus, and it's not like acidic. It's just kind of bright, and it's cool because it balances out the sweetness without being too heavy of like a citrusy kind of punch. So I dig that. Really cool.
The retro's nice.
Really cool viewer question from Dax. And I never thought about this. Do you target bait and tackle shops to carry your cigars? I think that's actually kind of a cool question.
So you're not wrong. I have made an effort to go out to some places. The licensing for tobacco and selling worms are a little bit different. But I will say that there was one shop that I visited that I'm trying to work on to bring in. And if anybody lives in the state of Ohio and has ever been to the Pipe Rack, they have a literal tobacco, like they are pipe tobacco and cigars. They've got 3 different walk-in humidors, and they have a bait and tackle shop in the same complex, in the same building. And it rivals like Bass Pro Shops in terms of pro bait and tackle. I mean, rods, reels, every lure, everyone's, everything they got. And so I went and visited that when I was up a few weeks back, and it would be the perfect place to sell Lure cigars. And so I'm working on getting them to bring the cigars in. Had a great experience and met a buddy of mine Steve, who lives up in the Ohio area. So yes, if I do try to find places where the theme and the branding would work. I have yet to be in anybody's bait and tackle shop that happens to have a humidor on the counter, but that would be ideal.
Yeah.
So before I lit up the Brownie, I had smoked a Liga 9.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about smoking something strong enough to compare with it. And the Brownie's hitting it. It's right. It's right. Perfect aligned with that, it's strength wise.
Still stands up.
Yeah, it stands up nicely.
Yeah.
Great.
So for half the price.
Yep. I've smoked my fair share of 9s and 52s. And, I went through a whole phase where, Liga hunting, so you bet. And those are cigars that appeal to the palate. And when I am out there validating blends that are coming in from the factory, I say, look, this is I want something a little more bold. I want something that's out there. So
yeah, a Lure tackle box humidor.
Yeah, I'm working on that. So I've put most of the money and most of the effort into the tobacco, right? So everything I'm putting into getting the cigars and getting things established. We do tackle box trays that are custom wood trays that have base for the cigars. And we do some vintage tackle that we put on the outside of that. And it's painted up like what you'd see in a bait and tackle shop. That's how we, merchandise the cigars at the retail environment. All of our cigars come in 10 packs that are, craft paper over wax paper with Boveda inside. So Boveda has been a great partner for us. And this is something where, you can throw it in your tackle box, throw it in your center console, throw it in your golf bag or whatever it is. And peel it open and have a couple of cigars and share a couple of cigars and still have a couple of, to let rest in the humidor. So I do want to do some type of tackle box. There was Quality Importers reached out when they came out with the tackle box that they did for the freestyle that they have available. But the problem is that you can only put like 5 cigars in there.
Right.
And that tray that comes down kind of makes it's a cool concept. It's just not well executed for my brand.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look at doing something that's kind of half tackle box, half humidor. And so, that way you can put some tackle on one side because some of the tackle boxes that even seal, they are designed to allow the water to drain for when you have your baits. And I don't want to have anything that, gets cigars wet or anything like that. And so maybe something that's kind of a half and half. There's a half cigar humidor, half bait, that you can put in there and keep in your bag.
Yeah.
But tackle boxes have changed dramatically over the last, couple of decades. I mean, it used to be that everything was hard-sided and, and now it's all soft-sided. And like, I watched a guy getting out of his bass boat and he had like duffel bags.
Yeah.
And then inside the duffel bags, there were like these trays that came out and everything else. I mean, I didn't grow up with any of that stuff. I had my Plano, tackle box, that lift up and the trays came out and everything else, but if you look at what like Nick's done with Foundation, some of his anniversary boxes are very tackle box-esque, to have the different wooden things come out and they're sexy as all get out. But those are really expensive to make. So I have yet to make something along those lines. It may be something we do an anniversary or something. Give me a few more months under my belt and a few more sales, and maybe then we can talk about doing something fancy like that.
Yeah.
So I asked you earlier if Lure Cigars need to be in Minnesota.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Minnesota is such a big
10,000 lakes where a lot of fishermen.
I
swear everybody fishes up here. So we got to try to figure out how to get you in Minnesota. And maybe Wisconsin, but
Sure. Yeah.
I think it'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a big fishing state. So we'll definitely
I might have a guy or two.
Yeah, we'll definitely get the word out.
Well, I would appreciate that. Any word of mouth has been the greatest advertising methodology for us. I'm a small company and I don't have a big advertising budget. I do advertise on Simply Stogie's podcast. They've been a great, they by the way, James and Tim and Nick say hello. And I mentioned I was going to be on your show tonight. They're like, oh, great. So they may be watching in the audience. I don't know. I can't read the comments. I can't see my phone this far away. But I will say that I don't do a lot of advertising, and most of the advertising that I've had and the benefit has been word of mouth. And so there's been a lot of people who have picked up the brand by way of doing podcasts like this. And so I do appreciate you all for having me on the show again and being able to spread the word. And then they go out and they ask their tobacconist and they say, look, do you carry Lure Cigars? And that's the number one way you can help a small brand grow is to basically ask for the cigars.
Yeah.
And say, look, it's something I'm interested in, or I'm buying them somewhere else. And if you bring them in, I'll buy them from you. And so that has been very, very helpful. So much appreciated to you folks out there and listeners and people that are interested and curious for promoting that.
Well, I would kick myself if I didn't ask, at least one or two fishing questions.
Sure.
I absolutely love to fish. I fish as often as I can, which of course, when you've got, family and kids at home and day job and podcasts on that's not nearly as often as it should be, but
sure.
I obviously fished a lot more when I was younger because a lot more free time and that kind of thing. But I absolutely love fishing, and I love fishing in all different types of ways, different types of lures, different methods, different baits, this, that, and the other thing. But I've never in my whole life And never in my 54 years have I fished saltwater.
Really?
So, but I know that there are a lot of similarities, and there are a lot of differences too. But for you, first question is, what's your favorite species to fish for?
Okay. My first and favorite species to fish for are trout in moving water.
Okay.
But by hands down, they are the smartest fish I've ever faced in terms of being able to sit there and try to convince that fish to bite on something that you're throwing in front of it. And I've watched some of the most beautiful trout swim right up to baits, and they will sit there next to the fly. They'll look at it and they'll just swim right away.
Yeah.
And they are the most taunting and the most difficult fish that I've ever fished for to catch.
Yeah.
So that is the most rewarding fish to catch because you feel like you've actually done something. But I like to fish in all water, anything, any type of fishing. I haven't done it all, but I've done a lot, and I had the blessing to be able to be out and do saltwater because I'm only 30 minutes from the coast, and I've got a lot of lakes. I grew up in a house. My mom still lives there. That there's a little 16-acre pond behind the house, and there's not a day you can't go out there and snag something. So
Yeah.
there's bass, bluegill, shellcracker, catfish, carp, and that is in crappie. And so, those are fish that I love to catch. I love freshwater fish for fishing. Saltwater fishing is, I will tell you, if you ever come to Florida, let me know. We'll set up a charter and we'll go out and we'll do some fishing and put you on some fish. It's a lot more difficult, to be able to do that. And for me, I've been out deep sea fishing a few times, and the Gulf is so shallow that it takes you a couple hours full on open to get out there to where you get deep enough water to catch some, trophy size saltwater fish.
Yeah.
And my experience has been, it's hit or miss. You can go out there and you spend a whole lot of money, a whole lot of time, maybe catching some. There's some days you fill the boat with fish, and other days you get nothing.
Yeah.
And if you bring some cigars, it's not a day that's lost, right? And so that's fine. But the best fishing for saltwater fish is to go to a place that is at the coast where the other people that do it for a living, they bring them in, they clean them for you. All you have to do is go there and buy the fillets. And you know what? You'll spend a third of the price. You'll have some great fish to eat. And that's fine. Look, if you're going to hook into some 100-pound, grouper, you can do it, and it's fun, and it's an experience that even some 20-30-pound redfish are great to catch.
Yeah,
it's fun. But if you're looking to eat, go to the fish shop that's there. That they're bringing them in on ice.
Yeah,
that's the much easier place. Or go to the restaurant; they'll prepare it for you, and you don't even have to do the dishes.
I like that.
I like what you're saying because I don't fish. I'm a bow hunter, and I'm going to spend my time in a deer stand.
Sure,
I'm not spending it on the boat. But I like that idea.
Yeah.
Well, but I also like, because here in Minnesota, unless you go to Lake Superior, you're talking shallow water fishing. I mean, there are some old quarries way up north, that, once the quarries were mined out, they would fill them in and stock them with, fish, and some of them can get into the hundreds of feet. But for the most part, we're talking largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, crappies, walleyes, muskie, pike, that kind of thing. And I'm catching most of my fish in very shallow water. So, and I would feel most comfortable in doing the same thing in saltwater. I think at least to finally get my first saltwater experience, whether we're talking, because I haven't fished saltwater, but I've watched a lot of it on TV. And seeing these guys pull in snook and redfish and that kind of thing, it just looks like an absolute blast.
It is, and the tackle's a little bit heavier, and so it's just a good day. Whenever you're fishing, it's a good day. I'm sure the same thing when you're hunting. When you're out in the stand or you're out in the wilderness, whatever it is you're doing, you're just kind of in your element. You feel closer to nature. And saltwater fishing, it can be a real blast and a real fun because you're out and there's just no obstructions. And where casting is concerned, some of the East Coast river place in fishing and even lake fishing, there's a lot of structure that you got to deal with. and it's really more difficult and more, technical fishing. Whereas, and you're out in the open in the ocean, even if you're in the flats or you're, just offshore, you can cast wide darn open.
Yeah.
And there's so many fish out there that, you don't have to really look for, too hard. And it's much more bait driven in saltwater fishing than it is, in terms of action. So you can throw some, a chunk of bait fish out there, and something's going to bite it. So
Yeah.
you're more likely to catch. You may not catch something you want to eat, but it's going to be something that you're going to end up catching and feel the tug and the power of it. So
Yeah.
Makes you think twice about swimming in that water because there's so much, living creatures out there. But for sure.
What's the biggest fish you caught?
The biggest fish I've ever caught was probably saltwater. Was probably, well, I'll say this. I was up and we were traveling with another family, and we went to Door County. And so we went and we did a fishing charter into Green Bay, and then we went out into Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And we caught some king salmon and some coho salmon. And I think the biggest fish I caught on that trip was like 32 pounds.
Wow.
And it was a monster. I mean, it was probably and I've caught redfish, I've caught trout, ocean trout, some grouper, but nothing that felt and fought like that trout did. Or that salmon. I'm sorry, the salmon.
Yeah.
That king salmon, it took us almost 20 minutes to land that fish. I mean, it was just and the reel was, the drag was just going out on it. It was just a fighter. And by the time we got it in, two hands hold it up, like you were basically having a sack of potatoes. It was huge.
Oh,
so yeah, it was a great day. We caught like 60 fish that day, but on the boat, and it was just a massive, massive catch. Wonderful day on the water.
I love that area, Door County.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to spend some time fishing or just, honestly, just exploring. I mean, they got so much stuff up there to do, from breweries, distilleries, restaurants.
We did a cidery. We did cherry picking. We were there for a week, and it was in late July, early August, and it was just phenomenal. We just had a wonderful time. One of the guys that was with us, he was a cyclist, and so he was out riding the roads. We rented bikes one day, and they had a bike trail that was up there. Went to see some lighthouses. It's just beautiful. And what's great about that, in the summertime, we were there, and when it was 115 degrees in Tallahassee, it was 60 degrees or 55 degrees at night. We were wearing sweatshirts and having a campfire.
Yeah.
During the day, it was like 75 degrees. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I paid top dollar for that air conditioning, down here, and it was just natural environment up there. Beautiful.
Yeah, but then you've got December, January, February, March.
Yeah, my blood's a little thin to handle all that. I went to a funeral in the middle of February back into Wisconsin, and that was some rough. I mean, I was there for a visit, and I was like, this is something you guys deal with day after day after day for like 6 to 8 months at a time.
Yep.
I think that those are people who have never lived in the winter in the South. You know, my dream, people say, what's your dream? I'm going to go do this. I'm going to, sell it all, get a RV. I have in my mind, I have an Airstream trailer pulled behind a truck, and I'm going to chase 70-degree weather until I don't feel like driving anymore.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I love Wisconsin. If it wasn't for the Wisconsinites.
Wow.
It's beautiful in Wisconsin.
Wow.
I love the fishing. I love the hunting.
Wow.
The scenery. It's just some damn Wisconsinites.
That's my second home is Wisconsin.
I know what the hell I'm saying.
I'm a Green Bay Packers fan.
I know you are. I can see that ugly hat from here.
Well, I haven't been up there in probably, I don't know, 10 years, and it's been too long. But my sister lives up there, and she's outside in Oconomowoc area, Ixonia, and my brother lived in Heartland for a number of years, and so it's just a place that and my mom's side of the family and my dad's family was in Kenosha. So, I've got a lot of great memories in Wisconsin, and just, friends. I miss people that were part of my life for a long time, and just haven't connected. And so it's just one of those things that when I go back up in that area, I thought about it. There's a lot of cigar shops that I think would benefit from Lure Cigars and Fisherman and everything else.
Yeah.
So eventually I'll make it up that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you come up to the north, and I'll take you fishing for walleyes, and I'll come down.
Love that.
I'll come down your way, and we'll go out, and
you come down.
Saltwater fishing.
Absolutely, come down. We'll set it up. I'll get a charter. I've got some friends that do that for a living, and they do a great job and put you on some fish. I mean, part of it is because you don't have any reference points when you get away from the shore. They got everything in GPS. It used to be Loran numbers. Now it's all GPS numbers, and they trade those. They trade those like stocks, in terms of being able to know where to put the fish in, and they know right where to go because.
Yeah.
You don't want me taking you out on a boat. We'd be out there floating and just getting sunburned. That's about it.
Yeah.
Dax, that explains a lot, buddy.
Dax from Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Dax is. Oh, and Hayes Gray Cigar says, Lou, keep paving the way in the craft world.
Hey, man. It's good to see you guys. I got to meet them for the first time over in Jacksonville a few weeks back. We had a little Jacksonville Boutique Cigar Festival and got to meet them in person and smoke their cigars. I got some right here on the table. I've been working through. They're great guys, and I appreciate the heads up and the shout out. So
yeah. Dax is asking, have you ever done any of your farm/manufacturing? Where is most of your tobacco from?
So all of our tobacco is pretty much AJ's tobacco. AJ provides the tobacco to our factory, and our factory is La Tabacaria. It's in Esteli, Nicaragua. We have recently made that transition over the last few months it's the original San Latano factory, and it's kind of been reborn to do some select brands. Valacaria and Lure are two of the brands that they have brought in and allowed us to work with them. And so the tobacco portfolio and the talent that was at our previous factory all moved over to La Tabacaria. And so they are doing cigars for us, and they're doing a great job. Rejo's the master blender, and I'm excited to say that the last 3 releases we've had that have been very, very well received by people out there, fellow enthusiasts. It's just kind of reinforced our decision to do that and to move in that direction. So,
yeah.
Is there any tobacco out there that you want to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
So, sure. I get excited about trying stuff from other companies, right? Because I'm an enthusiast first. And, I love what's going on in Costa Rica. Tobaccos de Costa Rica does some really neat stuff. They've got some stuff that they've done for Castagli. They've got stuff they do for LH. And shout out to Nick. And, some of the stuff that they're doing using Peruvian tobacco, I like that in moderation. Peruvian can be very overpowering. Some of the Brazilian tobacco that's out there, I like to work with some of that. The Matafina I really like. Arapiraca, that tobacco is pretty good. And it's kind of, got a little bit of a buzz to it because of all the different people that have used it, including Amazon Basin and stuff. But I like the Matafina tobacco. I'd like to work with that. And so, we have access to Ecuadorian, Nicaraguan, some Honduran tobaccos we've used and some of the stuff in some of the blends. But, I'm always excited to try new things. And so those are tobaccos that I'd like to see come out. One of the tobaccos that I'd like to see that Nimmer uses on his nobility is the San Andres. I like the earthiness of that tobacco, and that tobacco is a big fan. And so that is definitely something I'd like to see, being utilized in some fashion for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of San Andres.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Yeah.
But I'm a Nicaraguan cigar smoker. I mean, look, there's nothing against Dominican. There's nothing against Dominican tobaccos, nothing against Honduran tobaccos. But those cigars from those, I mean, look, I smoked for a number of years in my tour. I smoked a lot of Hoyo de Monterrey, and the number 3 Excalibur, it was a cigar that was my go-to for a long time. And I go back to smoke that cigar now, and it's still very good, but it's just not where my flavor profile and where the strength and power. I mean, Nicaraguan tobacco is just where my palate hits, and that's why I stick with that. And I make cigars that if nobody buys, I'm going to have to smoke them. And so, that's the one risk that you take, and that if nobody else likes it, and you better like it because you're going to have a lot of them. So, and I've been very blessed to have people receive the cigars and do well. So, I just stick with Nicaraguan, but I'm always looking for something exciting. And maybe through a future catch and release, we'll do something that, allows us to work with some kind of oddball tobacco that we don't have a lot of supply of to see what it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That Bellafina, I like that. Brazilian Bellafina is solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was a Matafina cigar that McAuliffe did, and it was part of their bold line that they discontinued, but they're doing some great things with the San Andres variety of tobacco that they're getting out of Mexico, and that color series has really, really been impressive. But the Matafina was one of the cigars that when I first got introduced to it was in that cigar blend from them, and that was really, really tasty. So I'd go back to that.
Isn't Skip's Wanderlust Brazilian Matafina?
Yeah, he's got a few with either a Raparaca or Matafina. Yeah, but Wanderlust, I believe the wrapper leaf is Matafina. Yeah,
it's good smoke. That's very good smoke. Very good smoke.
Now we can't get them anymore.
Sure you can.
No, we went on some sites and tried to get some. Then no, we're not shipping into the United States anymore.
You got to know.
Lucky we know a guy.
You got to know a guy. I know a guy.
So, do you think it's time?
I think it is actually time. Do you think it's time?
I think it's time.
All right, guys, it is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life.
That's so funny. That's the wrong sound cue, but I kind of dig it. Is that? There we go. There we go. All right. So Numero de los Muertos. I got to pull this up on my phone here. Lou, tell Lou about Numero de los Muertos.
So Lou, this is a fan favorite, and it's some kind of weird way people die, and we've been doing this pretty much ever since the beginning. So we're getting kind of running out of way people die. So the numbers lately have been a little weird, but mostly
it's the weirdest segment in cigar podcasts, but it for some morbid reason it's like everybody's favorite segment. So
I'm looking forward to this.
Between me, you, and our guests, and our viewers, we'll try to figure out how these people expired.
Okay.
Okay, I saved this bookmark earlier today, and now for some reason it doesn't.
It's going to be one.
It doesn't want to show up.
How a co-host died on a show when he didn't bring up proper stuff.
All right, don't look at my computer screen right now because I got to pull it up on my.
So you were talking about you smoke a lot of people's stuff. Who's what brand out there is really tugging at you lately that you every time you see it you got to grab it?
Well, I'm a big Tatuaje fan. That's kind of when I started going outside of legacy brands. I smoked my fair share of stuff, and then all of a sudden, Tatuaje came on, and people introduced me to that brand, and so what they've been doing for years has always kept me interested, and so I always kind of go out there and see what their new Corojo stuff that they put out is exciting. I got to meet Pete at the PCA trade show for the first time in person, and we had a nice little chat for a few minutes and traded cigars, and he gave me one of the Avion Corojos that was coming out. It's either out or coming out pretty soon, and so I'm a big Corojo fan. So to see the series come out with the Corojo has been very, very good. I like what Lee Marsh has been doing, with his stuff.
Hate that
guy.
Yeah.
So Lee's been doing some really nice things. The 919, the Castle 919. I just smoked a couple of those for the first time a few weeks ago, and that's really tasty, as well as the Preakness. That was a big surprise. That was a really good smoke.
Not to cut you off, but speaking about him, he just did a cigar for one of our friends that wanted to shop exclusive. It's called a Peacemaker. It's by Ramsey Smoke Shop.
Yeah,
by the name Omar, and we talked about him earlier. I'm gonna send you a couple of them. They're
I would love that.
If you like for coffee, it is excellent with coffee in the morning.
That's my jam. Coffee and pairing cigars. I would love that. I would love to try. Thank you. And Vance is doing some stuff with Stoic. I have not had his Equanimity yet, but I had a pre-release at PCA that he gave me to try, and he's got some really stuff coming out of Kellner stuff that is really, really, really special. And the thing that's really great about, look, I'm a validator, right? So I'm not a master blender. I'm an enthusiast. I tell them what I'm looking for. They blend stuff. They send up samples. We get to try it. And I say, I like this. I'm going to put my name on it. And that's how it works. And so the talent is really at the factory. And I got to give props to the people that are lifelong tobacco handlers, growers, and all that stuff. So don't look to me to ever claim to be some master blender. You don't want a cigar that I blended. I tried to blend a cigar one time and I put so much Lajero in it, the thing didn't burn, and it was just a nightmare. But anyway, Vance has got a different approach. He goes down and he actually goes down quarterly and he's out there picking the stuff and doing the things. I would love to be in that position. Maybe next year, go down to Nicaragua to the factory and put some time in, because just the time it takes to go back and forth. So as far as, blends and brands that are doing really interesting things, like I said, McAuliffe's doing some great things with the color series. I don't miss those. What else have I smoked that has been really, really good? The guys from Cigar Goats, the Chev cigar company, Goat Club, they're doing some fun things. I just like to smoke, the stuff that's on the edge and to try something that's out there, for sure.
Yeah.
So don't miss it.
So,
all right, I finally found it.
So I was kidding about Lee Marsh. He's a good friend of ours.
Oh, good.
He comes up every year. We
give
love
him shit all
we
the
give him
time.
shit all the time.
Yeah.
Good.
Now
good.
that Pete guy you were talking, never heard of him.
Yeah, Pete.
Never heard of him. Don't
Never
even know
heard.
who he is.
Never heard of him. No idea who you're talking about.
Yeah,
All right,
no,
so I
no.
finally found it. So what I'm going to do, Lou, I'm going to give a number, and you, along with Raul and our live viewers, you're going to play 20 questions, trying to break it down. So the cause or the event that caused this number of deaths. So the number this week is just over 3,100 deaths.
Was this a one-time incident?
It was a one-time incident.
3,100 people died in the same incident?
Yes.
All right.
Was it a natural disaster?
It was a natural disaster.
Was it in the United States?
It was not in the United States.
Thank goodness. We've been getting our asses whipped lately.
Was it fire related?
Not fire related.
Was it earthquake related?
Not earthquake related. No, Dax, it was not anal beads.
Love you, buddy.
Oh, my God.
I've been a long string.
Oh, yeah.
Was it flooding related?
Not directly. No.
Mudslide? Was it a mudslide?
No.
Not
Was it in
directly
Europe?
flooded.
It was not in Europe.
South America?
Asia?
Not Asia. Not South America.
Africa? They don't got water.
Not Africa.
Okay.
Europe?
Not Europe.
What else? There's Asia.
Not Asia.
Antarctica? I mean,
Not Antarctica.
Australia?
Not Australia. It was not a volcano. Tom guessed volcano.
Yeah.
It was not a volcano.
Well, what continent is left?
I didn't say continent.
Well, that's what we're asking. What continent it was on?
I'm not. It's not
Asia, Europe, North America. Was it North America?
Not North America.
No, it wasn't
South America. Central America.
It didn't happen on a continent.
Oh,
Okay. Well, it was it a shipwreck?
Not a
it was
shipwreck.
no, it was a natural disaster.
Was it a typhoon?
Not a typhoon.
What's the other one? What do you call that one with them?
Did they drown?
Some did.
China.
Not China. That's in Asia. You already guessed Asia.
Ali, I mean, we've named all the 7 continents.
It was not an earthquake, and it was not a tsunami.
That was what I was trying to think of, a tsunami.
Some people drowned. It was water related.
So we all know the Earth is flat, right? So they take their boat right off the edge of it.
Yeah, the ship just went right over the edge.
Were there men, women, and children? Was it all types of people that died?
Men, women, and children. Yes.
Hey, Seuss wants to know Atlantis.
It was not Atlantis.
Hey, Seuss, how you doing, buddy? Was it a cruise?
It was not a cruise. It was not the Titanic. It was not a shipwreck.
Not a shipwreck.
It was a natural disaster.
Natural disaster. And water was related.
Water was related. It was nearly 100.
Was it
years ago.
100 years ago?
Almost, not quite. Almost 100 years.
Did the levee break?
No, it was
Right.
not.
Was it an iceberg that calved?
Not an iceberg.
That's a lot of people for one incident.
Was it an avalanche?
Not an avalanche. Think
waterfall. I mean,
no. Think think warm climate.
Right.
Ocean related natural disaster.
Hurricane.
It was a hurricane, yes.
Okay, so it was a hurricane
in a particular that devastated a particular place.
Puerto Rico.
Not Puerto Rico.
Haiti.
Not Haiti.
Cuba.
Cuba.
Yes. All right.
We got
So
it,
it was
bro.
a hurricane.
Lou, you got it. So the 1932 Cuba hurricane, also known as the Hurricane of Santa Cruz del Sur, was an extremely deadly and powerful tropical cyclone, noted as one of the deadliest and most intense on record to have made landfall in Cuba. The only Category 5 Atlantic hurricane ever recorded in November. The cyclone had a path through the Caribbean Sea and, atypical to most hurricanes, developing late in the Atlantic hurricane season. The storm's strong winds, storm surge, and rain devastated an extensive portion of central and eastern Cuba, where the storm was considered the worst natural disaster of the 20th century. The effects from the hurricane were concentrated primarily on Cuba. Significant effects were also felt in the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas. And the storm originally formed on October 30th, and it didn't dissipate until November 14th.
Holy cow.
2 straight weeks. And the highest winds recorded were 175 miles per hour. And just over 3,100 people died.
Wow.
And it affected Cuba, Lesser Antilles, Netherlands Antilles, Northern South America, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Bahamas, and Bermuda. So that was, we've been doing a lot of like historic natural disasters lately, because after 300 episodes, finding unique and different ways that people die is,
Sure.
it's getting thin out there.
Yeah.
So that was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, it is time to reveal this week's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania Cigars. So I've had, I don't know, a little more than half of this very healthy pour of bourbon, and it happens pretty frequently where the more I drink it, the more I like it. That's probably more attributed to just the fact that it's getting me a little happy. But it's a nice bourbon. It's just got a great kind of smoothness to it. Even though it's a little bit higher proof, it's got a great smoothness, and there's some nice kind of different things going on. I mean, the classic bourbon, is like oak and vanilla and that kind of thing, but this has also got a little bit of a floral thing going, and a little bit of I almost want to say citrus, but I don't think it's quite citrus, but some I don't know, some kind of a sweetness that's almost like fruit.
It's bottled in bond.
Okay.
It's 100 proof.
100. Wow, this drink's hotter than 100 proof. But I'm here for it still. Bottled in bond, and I've had this before.
Yes.
Bottled in bond, 100 proof. It's got this kind of, there's a little spiciness too that makes me think the mash bill might have a little extra touch of rye in there. I mean, there's like a 1 in a trillion chance that I'm going to guess this right. So I'm just going to go for it because I've only ever guessed like what 2 or 3 of these right.
Oh, you're up to 5 in the last couple.
Heaven Hill.
No.
Okay. All right. What is it? Let's reveal.
The phone shut off. Hold on.
That is. Let me get the
Kirkland's.
That's Kirkland. So did you just buy that bottle?
No,
because I saw listed some. I follow some, Facebook bourbon groups, and they just listed they've got the oversized, like Magnum size bottle of Kirkland bottled in bond bourbon at Costco right now for I think $35, which is a ridiculous deal.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a bourbon drinker and you don't concern yourselves with brand names, you just worry about flavor and value. That's insane value.
Kirkland,
and if you like spirits and you've got a tight budget like me, Kirkland stuff, whether it's the scotches or the bourbons, honestly, killer value. And most of them are coming from the big name distilleries. Like you'd find it, with names like Blanton's, Buffalo Trace,
mm-hmm.
Even their vodka and their gin.
I think their vodka is Grey Goose.
Their vodka is Grey Goose, and I think their gin is Bombay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So
I mean, with that buying power,
that's just
ridiculous.
It. They can buy up a whole batch.
Yeah.
So that's a good bourbon.
And you've had that before. So the bottle, it's been around since last year.
Oh, okay. I might have had this one on the show before.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, right.
I got to recycle some of them.
That's true. Yeah, there's only so many to go around. So that was this week's Spirit of Mystery, and it is definitely time to get into the lightning round. And the lightning round brought to us by J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 114-year-old El Reloj cigar factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com.
All right.
You get that button bar under you. You're like, I got to hit all these buttons.
Something.
All right. So the lightning, I love having new guests on the show for so many reasons. And one of them is we get the classic old school lightning round questions. So Lou, here goes. If you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
It would probably be the Blade soundtrack, the original Blade soundtrack.
Oh, yes. I love that is a first time answer, and I absolutely love that answer. If it's been a minute since you've watched the original Blade movie, go watch that, because that is fighting music right there.
That club scene, the Blue Monday that they redid, that was fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Raul.
I think I might. All right, I'll do it. What is the most underrated and overrated fast food franchise out there?
Overrated? Burger King. I don't know, man. I mean, I eat Burger King about every 10 years and remind myself why I don't eat Burger King.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was so hungry one time. I was coming back from a cigar event, and I was taking back roads, and I was going through these really small towns in Alabama and Georgia, and they had a brand new Burger King that had just opened up, and it was pouring down rain. I was starving. I got diagnosed with diabetes, so I got to watch my blood sugar, and I was hungry, and I hadn't eaten. They had just opened like 2 days previous, so I pulled into Burger King. I got this Whopper, and I got to order onion rings, and I was herfing with guys on the way back on Discord, and I was sitting there eating, and I was reaching in the bag, and I realized that those onion rings are all the same size because they're like an onion paste, and then they're coated with their coater. And so like I was sitting there eating, and I was eating so fast because I was famished, and I realized I was so sick to my stomach because I ate so fast, and it was just not quality. It was overrated. Burger King, overrated. The most underrated, I would say, fast food, underrated fast food would probably be, I'm going to go Whataburger. I'm a
Okay.
big fan of the Whataburger. You know, I mean, Whataburgers are just great fast food. They do a good job, and that's what I stick with.
All right.
I still have yet to try Whataburger. So one of these days, I'll try it. And
Yeah, I could say the In-N-Out or the are overrated. You know, people say you got to go with there or Jack in the Box or whatever it is. But In-N-Out Burger, you know, it's one of the ones I've had it a couple times, but Burger King's definitely takes the cake for overrated.
yeah, Burger King is. I'm the same way. It's like I just sometime last year. It was maybe about a year ago or something like that. That I for some reason I don't know why my brain took me into a Burger King drive-through. And I'm sitting there in the drive-through, like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
And it was the first time I'd had Burger King in ages, and I got the food, and it was just awful. It was so bad.
No, it's like liquid smoke. They put liquid smoke. They flame broil it, but it's just not well executed. Sorry.
You know what I say about Burger King?
Oh, everybody knows you never go full retard. You went full retard, man.
Yep.
Full retard.
Truth.
That was my mistake. I went full Burger King, and it was a mistake on my part.
Mine is every once a year I got to go to White Castle, and I shit my brains out the next.
Yeah, it's like once a year for me for White Castle too.
And then you remember why you never.
Yeah, you remember why. Yeah. So for me, it's actually been more than. It used to be a once a year thing because there used to be one by an area that I would go Christmas shopping for my wife and kids, and I would stop there at Christmas sometime during like November, December, once a year, just because it's nostalgia for me from when I was a little kid. Was Long John Silver's.
Oh yeah,
and it's gross, but it's like this nostalgic thing where it's like I just remember that flavor from when I was a kid. So but they're not there anymore. I think the Mall of America, which is like a 45-minute drive for me, is the closest. And I'm not going to drive to Mall of America and take my life into my own hands just to go to that mall to eat Long John Silver's, which is also taking your life into your own hands. So I may never have Long John Silver's again, I guess, but
no.
I don't think there's probably only a couple dozen locations left.
Last time I had Long John Silver was in New York when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Best thing about there was the little toy thing. You can grab out of it.
Yeah.
So you want to do the zombie question?
Yeah. So all right. So imagine, Lou, that the zombie apocalypse is happening. Now you get to choose 3 people from the cigar industry to be on your zombie apocalypse survival squad. Who do you pick and why?
So of the industry, who am I going to pick? So I probably would pick Brian Matola from Cavalier.
Okay.
Brian, I met him at my old Kentucky Herf 2 years ago. And, he's a great guy talking about different things. And the last time I saw him was before he was heading down with his truck, driving from wherever he was in the United States, all the way down to Nicaragua. He was driving a truck. And so he was driving through Mexico, through all the different countries to get down. I don't know, my geography is terrible in that part of the world, but he was going. And so it was like he was going to give updates along the way as he traveled. And he survived. So I'm going to say that guy's a survivor. He was able to do whatever it was to bribe the federales and everything else getting down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Brian would be one of the guys I would want on the squad because I have a feeling he can get from A to B and be able to make it to whatever the promised land is, the safe zone. Who else? I would probably pick I would pick Nimmer Ahmad from Valakari because Nimmer, while he's younger, he's one of these guys that he just takes no shit, and he was sitting there and he's traveled the world. So in his 30 some years that he's lived on the planet, this guy's got more places that he's traveled all over the world and is able to navigate, and he speaks several languages. And so I'm going to bring him along. And I got one more seat on the truck.
One more, yeah.
Good gracious. Who I'm trying to think of who's the biggest, burliest, craziest, fighter. Oh my goodness. This is a question I
Or
had no prep for.
here's another strategy. A couple more
Another train of
strategies for you.
thought.
One is you can go with somebody that has a lot of guns, or somebody who is, for lack of a better term, a sacrificial lamb, somebody that you can outrun.
Oh no, okay. That's not. Yeah, the sacrificial lamb. Okay. I'd probably bring Saka just because I think I could outrun him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
a safe
I'm,
bet.
he's always complaining about, getting winded walking the farm or whatever it is, walking,
Yeah.
So I'll bring Saka along, the cigars will be good.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so I'll bring Steve and just know that I can outrun him. So that's all that matters.
Perfect.
There you go.
I love it.
Nice. And the guess, yes, we know where the word herf came from.
Yes. We've talked about that on previous shows, but yeah, it's a very cool story. All right, so now it's time for notable smokables. So Lou, we've been doing this segment since almost the very beginning. Each of us names a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's brand new to the market that we smoked for the first time ever, or a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we kind of revisited for the first time in a long time. So what's something you smoked recently that really stood out to you?
I would say that Avowed New Dawn was the cigar that I really was impressed with from Dave and Andrew. That cigar is also coming out of Kellner's factory, but out of all the Avowed cigars that I smoked a couple of each. That New Dawn is, and I'm not a mild cigar smoker, but it was just a really pleasant, well-constructed, beautiful cigar, and that is definitely something that is notable from something new that I've smoked and really enjoyed. I was really surprised at it. And another one, just to follow up on it, kind of as a runner-up to that, was that Inada Mas from Partagas. Very inexpensive, cigar, but it was very surprising. I mean, there's been a couple of cigars like the Eminence from Macanudo that came out from the España.
Yep.
And so I didn't care for the France one as much, but the España was the cigar that James had recommended. He's like, you got to smoke this. And I'm like, oh man, and for legacy brands that are out there kind of coming out with these different projects and things, it's actually really exciting to go back and remind yourself, why they are the big players that they are, and they are doing some interesting things. And that Inada Mas for $8 was a fantastic smoke for what it was. And I ended up buying several of them to kind of, put in the rotation and smoke them. So from a higher end, higher quality boutique cigar, Avowed has impressed me. And then also the Inada Mas from a, legacy.
Yeah, that Emissary España from Macanudo was on our top 10 list last year. It
deserved it.
Incredible surprise. Yeah.
It was, I was like, Macanudo. I hadn't smoked Macanudo in probably 15 years.
Yeah.
And I smoked my fair share of Hyde Parks and Portofinos and, the cigars. I used to smoke Macanudo a lot, but just kind of went outside and focused on other stuff, and to come back to something like that. And they did a great job with that cigar.
Yeah. Raleigh, what's your notable this week?
Well, we had cigars in baseball.
Yes, we did.
We were lucky enough to get pre-release of the Johnny Tobacconet 10th anniversary.
Oh yeah,
that cigar was really good.
It was very good. Yeah, the rep from General was there, and
it could have been because me and him were on the field together throwing balls together, and we were smoking it. But it just was perfect. It was perfect cigar.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
I'll be buying a couple boxes of those.
My notable this week was, unfortunately, during a time that I was filled with rage. No, not really, but during the Packers Browns game. Actually, the first half of that game, the first 3 quarters of that game were great.
Just the last.
And I was smoking the Espinosa Las Seis Provincias ORT, which is the one with the green,
solid cigar,
the green, dark green footband, the ribbon and the green color on the main band. And honestly, all those from that series that they've done have been good cigars, but that green one, I think it's my favorite of all
Pretty
of them.
damn good.
So that cigar was treating me really well, and then the Packers,
they didn't treat you very well.
they imploded. So that's okay. What are you gonna do? It's football. All right. So some coming attractions for our viewers. We're working on future shows, working on getting some people scheduled. Next week, we will definitely have a show. We're just trying to figure out exactly what we're going to be talking about and who we're going to be talking to.
Might have the guy from Stoic.
Might have the guy. Yeah, you never know. But we also know that we're looking ahead to October, definitely in the middle of October, October 13th to be specific. We have Pete Johnson coming back on the show from Tatuaje.
Don't know who he is.
Don't know who he is?
No.
I'll introduce you. It's okay. Yeah, he's he's a staple on this show. I think he maybe has been on the show more than anybody else. And we always like to have him on in October, of course, because it's the month of monsters. So
Might be close.
Him and Saka might be close, or like Miguel Shodell or Michael Herklotz, the people who've been on a lot. But and then we're working on future shows for the next couple of months. But we definitely want to thank Lou Cross from Lure Cigars for being on episode 301. Brother, thank you so much for giving us your Monday night.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's been a blast. I really enjoy it. I hope there's future times we can get together and smoke great cigars and tell tall tales and enjoy the smokes, and let me know what you think. And I appreciate you guys very, very much.
Absolutely, brother. And if you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything going on with Lure Cigars?
Sure. So follow us on Instagram. It's our probably most active area, at Lure Cigars, all stringed together. And then we also have a Facebook presence, Lure Cigars. It's out there. Just reach out, and on Discord, if you're part of Discord groups or whatever it is as well, we try to hang out and herf with everybody. And but at Lure Cigars for Instagram and Facebook are two places to get us. And then you can view our retail partners list to be able to go out there and get Lure Cigars at lurecigars.com. And if you don't have a retailer in your area that carries Lure Cigars, please ask them to carry Lure Cigars and to at least give us a chance. We're looking to grow our retail partnership out there. And so we'll be on the road. I'm going to be in Mobile next week. And the following weeks, I'll be out in Texas. So look for us to be able to have some events. Follow us along on Instagram, and come see us, come meet us, come smoke some good cigars, and we'll see you soon.
Nice.
Hey, where can we get your swag? I'm a big swag guy.
Oh, yeah.
So where can we find
do you have swag available on your website or at your events?
I don't. At the events, you can definitely come to the events. We do some things. I love to do some giveaways or whatever it is. I don't know how that works with your viewership or whatever it is, but you can go to Oxford Cigar Company, and there's some hats and shirts and mugs and that kind of stuff he's got on his website that carries for us. But I will gladly send you guys some swag to be able to have some stuff and as well. And then but we just basically focus on events and people that reach out on Instagram. We do some contests every now and then and stuff as well. So
sounds like we might have to get him in Minnesota so we can have an event.
There you go.
Sure.
I love
Absolutely. That would be great.
I love it. We'll make it happen.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
Thanks, brother.
your time.
Hang out in the green room. We'll sign off here with our viewers. Thanks, brother.
Thank you very much.
All right, viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. We're so grateful to you guys watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on
Rumble.
And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, doesn't matter whether you're driving down the road, working out, whatever it is you do when you listen to your favorite audio podcast. Thanks so much for making us a part of it. If you have questions for any of us, you can email us on the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Be sure to follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. You will find us at HBT Cigar.
Well,
Bye.
And I think that's it. So
thanks for watching us,
and
guys.
thanks for watching
spending your
episode
Monday night with us.
301. And of course, as always, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
Not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.